Yeah, hi everyone, Mr. Markwick here again. In today's video I'm going to show you two examples of solving linear equations that are initially written in worded problems. I'm going to show you just again the key ideas from the textbook here. There's a few dot points I'm going to run through quickly and then I'll get straight into those two examples. So it says here to solve a worded problem using algebra. First of all, read the problem and find out what the question's asking for. Okay, really important. Define a variable and write a statement such as let x be the number of whatever it's asking for. It might be, let x be the number of apples. And the variable is often what you're actually asked to find. Okay, so it might be, a problem to do with the number of apples that Mr. Markwick brings to school every day. How many apples does he eat? Then write an equation using your defined variable. Okay, and solve the equation and then answer the questions in words. So at the end you might actually say if x equals 5, therefore Mr. Markwick brings 5 apples to school every day. Okay, let's actually look at example 12 and we'll go through those steps. First we're going to read it and work out what they're asking us to find. So the question says 5 less than a certain number is 9. 5 less than a certain number is 9 less than 3 times the number. That's tricky already. So write an equation and solve it to find the number. Okay, so they're asking us to find a number. So let's just call that number x. And we're going to write a statement. So let the number be x. Okay. Alright, now we're going to write an equation based on what it's asking us to find. So let's look at that first sentence again. 5 less than a certain number is 9 less than 3 times the number. So I've got two parts to this equation, really, haven't I? And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to circle the word is. Different colour, which is green. So is, mathematically or algebraically, we're talking about an equal sign there. Okay, so this part is going to be on the left-hand side of my equation, and this part is going to be on the right-hand side of my equation. Wherever you see is, that's referring to an equal sign. Okay, it might say is equal to, that helps you. In this case, it just says is. So on the left-hand side, I've got 5 less than a certain number is 5 less than a certain number. 5 less than a certain number. We've already said that number is going to be x, so 5 less than x. 5 less than x is represented as x take 5. Okay, and that is equal to 9 less than 3 times the number. 9 less than 3 times the number. 3 times the number is 3x, and 9 less than that is 3x take 9. Okay, there's our equation. Now let's go ahead and solve it. Now in a previous video I've looked at a equation that has the variable on both sides of the equal sign. Again, we're confronted by that situation here. And if you remember back to that, the way I targeted this was to get rid of any negative values of x first, or in this case, that's a positive x and a positive 3x. I'm going to get rid of the smallest value. So that's the 1x on the left-hand side. Okay, I'm going to take 1x from the left-hand side to get rid of that x. If I do that to the left-hand side, yep, I'm going to do that to the right-hand side too. So I'm now left with an equation that has, on the left-hand side, minus 5. And that's equal to 3x take 1x, which is 2x. Sorry, not plus 9. Take 9. I was getting one step ahead of myself already, because now what I'm going to do is solve the equation by removing, to start off with that, minus 9. I'm going to add 9 on the right-hand side. And if I do that on the right-hand side, I also need to add 9 on the left-hand side. So, on the left-hand side, minus 5 plus 9 is actually positive 4. And that's equal to 2x. Minus 9 plus 9 is cancelled out. So 4 equals 2x. To solve for x, on the right-hand side, 2x means times by. Opposite of times by is to divide by 2. If I do that on the right-hand side, I also need to do that on the left-hand side. I'm then left with 4 divided by 2, which is 2, equals x, or x equals 2. Now, if you remember back to the key ideas here, it says answer, solve the equation. Yep, answer the question in words. So it says write an equation, we did that, and solve it to find the number. I then need to say the number is 2. Okay, finish it off by writing your answer in words. Okay, that was one example. I'm going to move to a separate example now, which is probably just as challenging. The opening problem seems a bit easier, but let's have a look at it. Simon and Mike made 254 runs between them in a cricket match. If Mike made 68 more runs than Simon, how many runs did each of them make? So, we're asked to find out how many runs each player makes in a game of cricket. Now, a common way that people make mistakes here straight up is by saying, let's just say, we're talking about Simon and Mike, let S be the number of runs Simon makes. Okay, so let S be the number of runs Simon makes. Now, someone might say, let M be the number of runs Mike makes. But that's going to be too hard to solve. If we've got two unknowns, or two variables, or two pronumerals in an equation. Let's just keep S being our variable. Because we can write the number of runs Mike scored in terms of, the knowledge that he scored 68 more runs than Simon. So, the number of runs Mike made is actually, if I just put it here, the number of runs Mike made is actually the number of runs Simon made, which is S, plus 68. So, with that knowledge, we can actually write an equation in terms of S. So S plus, that's the number of runs Simon made. The number of runs Mike made, which is X plus 68, is equal to 254. Okay, so I've now got an equation which only has one variable. I know it's written in two different terms there, S and S. We can actually collect those because they are like terms, aren't they? We've covered that in a previous video as well. So those two like terms, S plus S, is actually 2S plus 68 is equal to 254. And now I can just go ahead and solve for S, solve for the number of runs Simon made. So, what I'm going to do, I take 68 from the left-hand side, and if I do that, I need to take 68 from the right-hand side. I'm then left with, on the left-hand side, 2S equals 254 take 68. It would be nice if I had the answers next to me. That is 186. And a little bit. What I need to do then is remove the 2 from the left-hand side. Remember, that's 2 times by S. So, opposite of times by is to divide. Do that on both sides. Now, S equals 186 divided by 2, which is 93. That's a bit easier. Okay, so S represents the number of runs Simon scored. So let's finish off by writing Simon made 93 runs. Pretty good innings. We also need to say how many runs Mike made. So Mike made, he made same as Simon, but an extra 68. So he made 93 plus 68, which is 161 runs. Very good innings. Okay, so there you have it, guys. 2 examples on how to solve worded problems using algebra. Read the problem, work out what they're asking you to find, and write a statement that includes a variable. From there, write an equation, and that's the hard part. So if you check your answer in the back of the book and you've made a mistake and you think you've done everything right, you need to go back and check to make sure that that equation you've written is the right one. Okay, because quite often that's where the mistakes are made, and it is a skill. Okay, and it does take time. A bit of a clue, if you see the word is, that means equals. Okay, good luck. Like I said, guys, questions for my class, at least anyway, will be up on DayMap. If you have any issues, you get stuck, send me a day map message and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks, guys.